everyone, my name is Audrey and today I'm going to talk about the different complexes that the Disney College program offers. So normally I would say this is kind of an overdone topic and I wouldn't be doing a video on it, except for the fact that now we have some more information on Flamingo Crossing and the very first people will be moving in this it'll be the people who are extending from spring 2020 and as well as people who are going into the fall 2020 program. So I'm super excited to talk about all the pros and cons of each complex, and I will quickly go over the ones that are older because again there are a lot of videos on it, and then I will go into a little bit more detail on the new Flamingo Crossing. So yeah, the very first complex I'm going to talk about is Vista. So Vista is kind of on its own. I also believe that they're going to start to discontinue the Vista apartments. So at this point, they're the oldest apartment. They're the very first apartment complex that Disney ever had. It used to actually be the only apartment complex that they had. This apartment complex, I believe, has 2 pools as well as the library sort of thing, like office space sort of area, as well as a lot of housing events are held at Vista. So that's kind of the overview of Vista. Again, this one is going to be starting to go out of style. So these apartments, you'll have at least 1 roommate, but you can go up to probably like 6 or 8, I would say. I'm not sure on the exact specs on each one, but obviously you can only request 1 roommate in the current roommate selection process thing that they have. And other than that, that's kind of everything about Vista. So the next group of apartment complexes are the ones that they're going to keep for a little bit longer likely, and those are the ones that are all in Little Lake Bryan. So this is the Commons, Chatham, and Patterson, and I'm going to break these 2 off into 2 separate categories kind of. Oh, and I will say that Vista also has laundry not in the unit, so actually none of them do except for the Commons. Anyway, I'll get back to that though in a minute. So yeah, I'm going to talk about Patterson and Chatham together. They're very, very similar. I think they must have been built by the same builders. They're very similar. So I think that Patterson and Chatham both have 1 pool, or possibly Patterson has 2. I'm not really sure. Patterson has a much nicer pool, I would say. It probably has the nicest pool in all of the complexes, as well as I know that it also has they all have office spaces for you to study, but then and they all have gyms as well, but I think Patterson has a pretty big gym as far as they go, bigger than Chatham. And yeah, again, no in-room laundry for either of these complexes, and they share the main bus hub of Chatham for Little Lake Bryan. And then of course the main bus hub is in Vista. So if you needed anything, you most likely would either stop through Vista on one of the buses, or you could just take a bus to Vista to be able to get to every single bus that Transdev offers. But a good majority of them, especially if you're going to any of the parks or springs or anything like that, and even I think most of the resorts as well, will go through Chatham. Patterson gets a couple of buses. I think the ones that go to like Publix and everything will stop, Publix and Walmart and everything will stop by Patterson because, you know, obviously if you have a whole bunch of stuff, it's harder to walk over from Chatham, but they're literally right next to each other and it's no more than like a maybe 3-minute walk. So it's nothing to worry about if you get Patterson and you don't have a car. So yeah, that is one, I think, slightly better thing about Chatham. I used to live in Chatham. I really loved Chatham, and they had a lot more of the housing events in Chatham than pretty much anywhere else. Like you have your welcome and your graduation usually at Chatham, so that was really nice. All I had to do was walk out the door to go to my graduation, as well as the buses are right there. And I was right next to security. Like my apartment was right there. When I tell you it was right there, it was right there. I still had to go like around, so it was a little bit of a walk, but getting to the bus was like no problem for me at all living in Chatham. So that was super, super nice. I think that's pretty much everything about Chatham and Patterson. So next I'm going to talk about the Commons. So the Commons is the newest of the complexes besides Flamingo Crossing, and it has that in-person laundry, which is so, so nice. Technically, Chatham and Patterson, I believe, also have possibilities to do it, but they just don't have the laundry units in there. But I definitely saw a hookup in my apartment, so I don't know. The Commons is really nice because it has a little grocery store in it. It's a bit overpriced, but if you're having cravings for Oreos at 2 in the morning, you can go get it. Maybe not 2 in the morning, but yeah. Anyway, a good majority of the buses go to Commons. After a certain time, they do stop going though. So I know sometimes they'll make special stops to drop people off just for safety reasons, because they don't want you to walk from Commons or from Chatham to the Commons, because that can be a bit of a safety issue. Other than that, the Commons does have a really, really nice pool. I would say it's nicer than Vista and nicer than Chatham. I think it only has one pool though. But of course you can always go to the other complexes and use those pools there. And, you know, any of these, you know, like luxuries or anything, like I could just go to the Commons and go to their pool, or I could just go to Patterson and their pool, or I could go to Commons and go to that grocery store thing I was talking to you about. So it's really, I mean, as long as you're a college program participant, you're allowed to kind of do all these things. Also, all three are really close to Mickey's Retreat, which is like, it's like a lake or something. I think that's like what Little Lake Brian is. And you can, there's like swimming there, there's all sorts of stuff. I never actually went, but that's actually available to all cast members, so that's really cool. I think that's kind of it for Commons. A lot of people end up really wanting this one because of the in-person laundry, but because of that, it is more expensive. So it's going to be the most expensive, I would say. I would say it goes like Vista, and then Chatham and Patterson are pretty much the same, and then the Commons is the most expensive. Except for now, of course, we have Flamingo Crossing. I'm going to read to you a little bit about a post that I found telling us a little bit about Flamingo Crossing. It's a mom that I guess got to see some previews. So it looks like they'll have a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom option, and there'll be 4 people total. It'll be about $165 a week, which is a little bit high, I would say, but I'm not sure what the current price is right now. It doesn't sound actually that horrible. I only paid $115 when I lived there, but I would say $165 is still not horrible, especially for a brand new room. So it sounds like you will have a quarter height wall, and that will be able to block you off from your neighbor, your roommate, I guess. There'll be switches next to the wall and the bed, or next to the door and the bed, and there will also be USB ports, as well as, you know, like little lights for individual use. So that'll be really, really great, I think. It sounds super nice. It sounds like the bathrooms will be really nice as well. It looks like there's bedside tables that turn into tray tables, and yeah, and dressers, of course, kind of normal thing. So there's a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, and each bedroom is private. This will be $185 a week. This sounds super nice, and they'll have full beds, which is kind of crazy because so far all we've seen is either bunk beds or, you know, twin beds in these rooms. So this is actually really, really amazing that they'll give you this option, and that's $185 a week, which is, again, really pricey, but to have your own bedroom, that is huge, you know. They'll have a Jack and Jill bathroom style, so they're only accessible from the bedrooms, so you'll still be sharing a bathroom, but I'd say that's pretty good. There will be a 4-bedroom, 4-bath where you get your own bedroom, and this will be $205 a week, and these will be a little bit more limited, I guess. There'll be a communal living area for all of these apartments as well. There'll be stainless steel appliances, which is really amazing because before, I'm sure if you've seen a room tour or anything, they are all like pretty gross fridges. So they'll actually be able to, they'll have this really cool system where you'll have a little just kind of like an ID kind of thing, instead of keys to your actual room, and you'll just have to scan that in to get into your apartment, which I think is super amazing. Of course, there will still be security at the apartments, and I believe that the rules are going to change, or are going to stay the same as far as, you know, like having people over. There'll be like little security kiosks. I don't know if you've ever seen those little things that have like the blue little lights on like college campuses. So that's pretty cool. As well as video cameras to watch people and entrances and stuff. Ooh, there'll be a U-shaped pool with seating. The common areas will even come with a TV, which I think is super amazing, because I know that's sometimes a thing where you're like, do I want to spend the money on bringing a TV down, or buying a TV, or, you know, something like that. Of course, there will also be a kind of classroom or a, you know, study room that will be available, but that's kind of standard, as well as gaming walls in the more common area to everyone who lives there. And there will actually be something kind of like an RA living on site, as well as, you know, college program staff as well. There's also apparently talk of making some of these co-ed, which is very interesting. So people who are dating or something, or I know in the past you actually can, in some cases, get a room that is a shared space between, you know, like if you're married or something like that. So if two married couples are in the program, they can actually live together, but they do have to live alone. So in this case, they would actually allow you to live, as long as everyone in the entire apartment agrees, with someone who you're dating. I don't know what's going on. There's a dog outside. So yeah, that's everything that I have heard about Flamingo Crossing. If you go into the Disney College Program Fall Advantage 2020, it's the one that has the like Toy Story banner, and you join that group. You should be able to find this post really easily. All I had to do was look up Flamingo Crossing, and then it was a couple down, and it's like a black photo with white writing. With Flamingo Crossing, there are a couple of things that could exclude you or make it harder for you to live there. So at the moment, for the extending spring people, they have to be working at Magic Kingdom or have their own car to be eligible to live there, because these buses are actually only going to go to Magic Kingdom and TTC, as well as the other complexes. So it makes it quite hard to actually get to where you're going. If you can only get to the TTC, that means that it's going to be kind of hard to get to any of the parks that you're wanting to get to. So you'll have to walk from the TTC to the Polynesian and then get on a bus, or you'll have to go to Vista or something and then get on a bus there and then go back towards Disney property, which just doesn't really seem to make a whole lot of sense. Hopefully they'll be able to expand the buses that go to Flamingo Crossing as more people move in, but at the moment that seems to be a restriction at the moment. I'm not sure how they'll do it for spring 2020. Hopefully I will make some friends who will let me see their Flamingo Crossing bedrooms. I'd love to see them, but as I've mentioned before, I'm actually living off-site. There's absolutely no way that I'm going to be living in Flamingo Crossing, unfortunately, but it does seem like a very fun concept. The other thing that I just wanted to talk about with housing in general is just transportation. So if you do have a car, every year it seems like every year since I left, it seems like everyone complains about parking and the lack of parking, and how expensive the parking passes are. I would say that if you don't need a car, I promise you can survive without it. I know this goes against what everyone says of bring a car, you have to bring a car, but I made it through my entire program without needing a car. Worst case scenario, if you really do need to go somewhere, you can Uber. You'll be fine. I promise you'll make it through your program without a car. If you can bring it, then totally bring it, but I would really look into your options of flying down or things like that. So it'll really save you a lot of money, because you don't have to pay for insurance and you don't have to pay for, you know, gas and just all this stuff and any repairs that you might need. And then you'll have to just drive it back when your like 3 or 6 months program is up. So finally, the thing that I was going to talk about is off-site housing. So off-site housing I'm personally doing. It can be a better deal. It can also be a worse deal, just depending on what kind of apartment you have, if you're even able to find roommates. One good thing to look at is just honestly on the Facebook groups, as usual. I already mentioned one before. You can use one like that. Or you could do the Orlando roommate finder, like the Orlando area roommate finder. That one's really great. It has a lot of Disney and Universal people looking for apartments, and I've heard good things about that. But other than that, you know, you can get a lot of better amenities. You can, if you're planning to stay after your program, or you don't want to deal with housing rules, there are a lot of really weird housing rules. For example, if you get fired, you have to be out of your house in 24 hours. If you know, get termed and you know, if you get termed and you are living offsite, you don't have to leave for, you know, potentially until the end of the month, so you can't pay your rent anymore. But it gives you more time to get out of the apartment, or, you know, things like that. The downside is that then you would potentially have to break your lease or find a subleaser or something like that, or just find another job to be able to cover the bill. Another thing is you can have people over after like 10 o'clock at night. You can have people stay the night. You can have just so much more freedom. You don't really need to worry as much about the 21 and under kind of rules around alcohol and stuff. Obviously, I'm not suggesting that anyone under the age of 21 drinks. I'm just saying that if you are worried, I know that they're a little bit more relaxed now. If you're over 21 and you have an under 21 roommate, you're okay to drink alcohol in the house, but for whatever reason, if you are worried about that and they would somehow abuse it, or, you know, get you in trouble with it, then yeah. So all I'm trying to say is that there are some benefits to living offsite as well, and I might even make an entire video later once I am done living offsite, comparing it to onsite living. But I just realized I could not deal with the strictness of Disney housing anymore. There are no, you know, like apartment checks. There are no, you know, random people coming into your apartment all hours of the day. I knew that there was a bunch of, in my building when I was there, someone got broken into. There's just been a lot of security, weird things, so I have chosen to live offsite this time. But I think that if you're not planning to stay down there, it can be hard to find a lease that isn't a full, you know, like year-long lease or whatever. But there are definitely 3 and 6 month leases available, month-by-month leases. My friend ended up getting one of those when she was done with her CP until she could find her, you know, permanent apartment. So there's definitely options. You just kind of have to keep your eye out and know where to look for them, again, on that like roommate finder page and stuff like that. So there's also a lot of people who are just trying to rent out a room, and they're just like, you know, living in their little house in Florida, and they're like, okay, let me just rent out a room really quickly. Okay, so it totally cut off on me, but what I was trying to say is that if you're at all worried, you can definitely find apartments off-site. So pretty much that's all I had to say, and I'm just going to close out the video now really quickly. So I hope you enjoyed watching this. Please like this video and share any comments down below that you would like to know about anything about housing or my experience on the CP, or any questions that you have. I'd love to be able to help you, and I think that's pretty much it. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!